In this video, we're going to show you how to install a cooling fan on your Volvo XC60 located behind the radiator. Before starting this procedure, you want to bring the vehicle down and have the AC system professionally evacuated. And with the hood open, you're going to locate the battery on the driver's side portion of the engine compartment. It's underneath this, and there's actually two pieces. There's a back and a front cover. Now the back cover normally has a Phillips head screw locking tab here. You would insert a Phillips head screwdriver and twist it counterclockwise to unlock it. Then grab the hood to cowl seal, pull this up and off, and set that aside. Now you want to go ahead and remove the front cover first. There's going to be two tabs right here. You're going to lift up, unlock that, and slide that out towards the front of the vehicle, releasing these two tabs. Set that aside. Then the back cover, you can lift up and out. This exposes the entire top of the battery. We're going to use our 10mm socket, loosen the nut. Go ahead and wiggle this free and set it aside. Now if you're going to be working on the vehicle, go ahead and take that cover, just set underneath to keep that from coming back in contact. Now on the bottom side of the engine here, we have the splash shield. There should be 8 T30 Torx screws holding the splash shield to the bottom of the engine cradle. You want to get and loosen and remove these. Now if you just go around the perimeter, you're going to find all of these here. Ours is missing a majority of these here and only currently have 4 holding it in place. Once you remove all of these here, you can go ahead and take that cover and set it aside. On the driver's side lower portion of a radiator, you're going to go ahead and notice the drain port right here, or the petcock. The coolant is going to come out of the side port and maybe a little bit out of the valve itself. You want to go ahead and grab that and turn that counterclockwise. And ours is a little tight. Go ahead and use a pair of pliers, and you can go ahead and grab that and turn that counterclockwise. And as you turn it, it's going to come out towards you. Make sure you have your catch can underneath to go ahead and catch that coolant. Now we want to give this a little bit of time for this to drain out. Now that we're good with our draining process here, let's go ahead and close this up. Go ahead and grab a rag and just wipe up any of the residual coolant here. To remove your engine cover, simply grab the 2 lower front corners, lift up, dislodging the rubber grommets, and then undo the 2 back ones. Remove it, set it aside. Our next step, remove the air intake tube here. Now there's going to be 2 clamps holding this in place. There's one right here with a 7mm screw head on it. You can use a flathead or the 7mm socket. And if you follow those down to the throttle body down below, there's going to be another one down there. This one's easy to access. Just going to loosen it. You're not going to disconnect the entire clamp or unscrew the whole thing. Let's go ahead and get the lower one. Now we're going to use a long extension and our 8mm socket. Let's go ahead and loosen this. We're going to get and remove the 4 T25 Torx bit screws holding our air filter lid box in place. that off, set that aside. And let's go ahead and pull out the air intake tube. Basically just gonna wiggle this around and pop it off of the throttle body down below. Pull that up and out. With all the air intake tube removed, let's go ahead and disconnect our harness right here, running across the top of the fans. Now these are just held on by little plastic clips. Normally you can just wiggle these off. Want to be careful because they can be brittle. You might have to use a pocket screwdriver to go ahead and pop those off. Now on the driver's side here of the harness is going to be the connector. I'm going to go ahead and press down on the little tab here and separate this. Now sometimes you want to use your pocket screwdriver. That might help out a little bit. And then pull the harness out of the way. Now inside the wheel well, we want to go ahead and remove the T25 Torx bit screws running down the fender liner, attaching to the bumper. Now the last Torx bit screw would normally be inboard right here. Our fender liner is torn and, well, our screw is gone. So you want to go ahead and loosen and remove this one here. After you've done this here, go ahead and repeat for the other side. On the top of the bumper cover, we're going to have two T25 Torx bit screws. There's one here on the driver's side. And then one on the passenger side. Remove them both. Now across the top of the bumper cover here, we're going to have 9 plastic push pins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. These here, normally you want to go ahead and push in on the center. Then use your trim tool and get underneath. And lift up and set that aside. And repeat this process all the way across. I'm just going to run across all these here and just push these centers in. And then come on back and start to pop these out. Now I want to go ahead and separate our bumper cover from our fender. You're going to reach over here, get your fingers in behind, and there's going to notice this little black tab right in here. You want to get your finger behind the lip of the bumper cover and simply pull it out and around that. Once you get this corner out, go ahead and pull the bumper towards you. You're going to go ahead and release the clip around here. Just like that. Let's go ahead and repeat this process for the passenger side. Now inside the passenger side fender liner right here, you're going to peel it back. Right here you're going to have the bulkhead connector, and this comes down and it powers other things in the bumper. So you want to go ahead and disconnect this here, otherwise when we separate the bumper you're going to have this hanging and you want to just go ahead and swing that bumper out of the way and get rid of it. Right here on the back side is going to be a tab you want to push in on to release these two pieces. I find it a little bit easier to use a pocket screwdriver. You can push in, but put that screwdriver in there to go ahead and hold that tab down. And sometimes you can get in the back here too. There it is. When you push it in, you want to go ahead and pull that connector out, like so. Now, sometimes it doesn't come out that easy. If you're having a hard time with it, you can go ahead and spray it down with some spray solvent around the perimeter and flush out a bunch of the debris that's probably in there. We were lucky enough that this one came apart pretty easy for us. Now that we've disconnected the harness on the passenger side, we're going to come on over to the driver's side underneath, and we're going to pull up the washer hose right here, and it splits into a Y. Now what we're going to do, we're going to make this super easy. We're going to use our plastic pliers here to go ahead and pinch this line. That's going to keep any washer fluid from leaking out. Instead of trying to work this off of the plastic piece here, and chances of breaking that go up drastically, what we're going to do is we're simply going to cut this. There is a little bit of excess on there, and then what we'll do is we'll simply run a blade down this rubber and we'll peel this off. That way there, upon reassembly, all we have to do is slide the hose back on and we're all set. Go ahead and grab the bumper, gently pull it out towards you, tilt out the bottom, and swing it away, set it aside. On the radiator crossmember, you want to go ahead and remove these caps here. There's a T30 Torx bit here. Let's go ahead and loosen and remove this. Once we remove this one here, I want to go ahead and repeat that process for the other side. Pop that out. Now in the upper portion of the passenger side of the radiator, we have a radiator hose. And this is it right here. Hose runs up and runs along the back right here. Now there's a metal locking tab right here. I'm going to use my pick, get underneath, and I'm going to pull it up. And once it comes up, we're going to go ahead and remove it. Just twist that off, and that's it. I want to go ahead and separate our upper radiator hose. I'm going to use a flathead screwdriver and gently wiggle this hose and pry it at the same time. Try and get that off. There it is. Tuck that off to the side. Now on the driver's side portion of the cooling fan assembly, we have the electrical connector here. On the front side is actually the release tab on this. You know, reach down, push in on this tab, and you should be able to wiggle this connector free. There it is. Go ahead and pop that off. Now if you follow the harness right here, there's a plastic retainer. I'm going to use my trim tool. I'm going to go ahead and pop that out. Sometimes these break, they can be fragile. Pop that out. And then follow this harness up. This is the one for the harness that we separated off the top of the cooling fan assembly. Pop that off as well. We're going to remove the lower radiator hose on the driver's side. Here we are up underneath, right in front of the oil pan area or the transmission pan. And we're going to come up right here. Here's the lower hose. And just like the upper one, there is a metal horseshoe clip. And I'm going to use my pick. Get behind that and just kind of twist that out. Now we are going to have to remove that as well. There it is. Now we do have a catch can underneath. I want to go ahead and wiggle this hose off. You can use a screwdriver just like we did on the upper one. I want to get in here and kind of twist that off. Get that working a little bit. There it is. Now our next step here is we need to disconnect this tube here that runs from our expansion tank, and it runs around and snakes around and it connects right down underneath here, underneath our radiator support. Now it's super tough to get to it, and we have to pinch the little tabs. Now what it looks like is this right here. You want to pinch these two tabs. It's going to open up the clips, and then you have to pull it out. Because of limited access underneath here, we're going to go ahead and pop our headlight. It's going to make it that much easier. Let's go ahead and get to it. Now the headlight itself comes out by releasing the two locking brackets here. You're going to grab here and pull up and pull this out. The one up here should look just like it, but our piece here is broken off of the top. So when you have this here, you're just going to grab it and pull that up. We're going to use our pliers to go ahead and pull this up and out. Set that aside. Now the headlight itself is going to come straight forward. Pull this out, and there is a connector right here. I don't recommend just leaving the headlight hanging down. We need to get right inside this pocket. So press down on this tab. Wiggle that connector free. And then take the whole headlight assembly and just set it aside. This is going to allow us to reach inside here. And you might be able to just use your fingers to grab that. Here it is. It's disconnected now. We're going to leave the headlight out for now. That's going to allow us to go ahead and reconnect it later on, make it a lot easier, and then we'll just pop our headlight in after. Back to the driver's side section of the engine bay. We want to go ahead and remove our air filter base. We're going to pull up on our headlight bracket right here. And we should be able to lift up on our base here, pull this up and out. And if you want, go ahead and pop that bracket back in. Now we're on the driver's side, and we're right in front of the AC compressor, just to the side of the driver's side cooling fan here. And here has a hose. This hose here is going down to our transmission cooler. I want to go ahead and remove this hose here. So I'm going to use a pair of pliers, reach on in here, open up that clamp. I'm going to go ahead and work that clamp back. And then I'm going to grab my hose pliers and try and work that hose off. Okay. Now right beneath where we remove that hose, right here, we have a T30 Torx bit screw holding the cooler here. I'm going to use my Torx bit and a short extension on my 1/4-inch ratchet. And I want to go loosen and remove this. Now we're going to be reusing this screw here, so you want to make sure that you don't lose it. Now that we have that screw out, we want to go ahead and lift up on this cooler. It's going to pull up and then separate it. It goes into little tabs at the bottom of it to lock into the radiator. Okay. It's separated and pulled off to the side. Now on the passenger side of our radiator, you're going to locate the AC connector lines right here. There's two of them right here, upper and lower, 13mm nuts holding those in place. Now I'm going to use a 13mm socket with a short extension on my 1/4-inch ratchet. Let's go ahead and get on here and loosen these. Now, hopefully you get to a point where you can spin that nut off there by hand. Now, these lines are held in place with rubber O-rings that seal these into the condenser. Let's go ahead and get that upper nut here. We're going to be removing both of these lines. I don't know if you noticed, I was able to do a little bobbing with my hand, just kind of like gently tugging on it. You don't want to give it full force, but kind of bounce on it a little bit just to kind of get that to break free. You don't want to snap any of this hardware off in the AC condenser. Now, even though we had the system professionally evacuated and there's no more Freon left in here, when you pop these lines, you might hear a small little hiss, maybe a little depressurizing. It's totally normal. So you want to go ahead and grab these lines here and wiggle them out. There it is. This upper line might be easier to get from the top. Okay, we have that second line disconnected. And on the bottom side here, we have the main support running across. There's going to be 4 10mm bolts, 2 on the driver's side, 2 on the passenger side. Gotta loosen and remove these. Now, before we remove the other 2, we're going to go ahead and put a cradle underneath to support everything. So let's go ahead and do that now. We're going to remove the other 2 bolts on the passenger side. We'll be reusing those bolts, so set those in a place where we can get them later. And then we'll slowly go ahead and start to lower the unit. As you're lowering it down, you want to go ahead and look on the inside part between the motor and the assembly and make sure nothing is catching, and then we'll continue from there. Now, it's always good if you have assistants to go ahead and help you lower this down. It's a rather large unit. On the other side, we did make sure our hoses were out of the way and pulled back, and the whole assembly can swing forward and backward. If you bring it towards the front, it's going to clear the radiator fan assembly a little bit easier on the other side. Continue to bring this down. The only thing that we're experiencing catching right now is our cooler assembly on the driver's side here. So as you're lowering this down, you want to keep an eye on that. At this point here, we can go ahead and set it on the ground, and we're going to start a disassembly of all of our other components. Now we're going to use our flathead screwdriver, and we're going to go right on the top here, feed it in, and we're going to twist it, but twist it gently. And then on the bottom of the fan assembly, push it up and out. You're going to feel it slide. I'm going to go ahead and repeat this process on the other side and then slide the whole fan assembly up and out. Go ahead and remove it. Go ahead and bring your fan down into position. Line up your mounting tabs with the brackets here. And push these down evenly. Okay, all four corners are locked into place. Now before we install everything here up underneath, you want to go ahead and focus on the AC lines right here. Now these have rubber O-ring seals on there. You want to go ahead and give them the wipe down. You want to inspect them. If they are torn or worn, anything like that, you want to go ahead and replace those now. You have immediate access to them. You also want to go ahead and check out all of your hoses, anything that you have access to here, radiator hoses, upper and lower, and anything else around the perimeter. Inspect it, replace it as needed. Now at this point here, we're going to go ahead and raise our components up into place. Once again, it's great to have someone else assisting you with this here. We can go ahead and direct our components out of the way in the back, such as our cooler and our AC lines.
Looking good.
Now at this point here, we have our components up into place and our lower bracket is lining up with the 4 bolt holes. So we're going to go ahead and get our bolts in place. Now that we have all 4 of our bolts installed, we're going to go ahead and snug those. Then we can go ahead, lower, and remove our jack. Now let's go ahead and get our AC lines installed. I'm going to go ahead and get the upper one in place first. Slide that over the stud and get that hose pushed in. Now before I get the other one in place, I'm going to go ahead and get the nut started on this. The trick with these here is you want to make sure that the O-ring is seated. You want to make sure that this whole flange is flush when you tighten this down. Now, if you snug it down and it's crooked, you're going to end up with a leak, and that's going to waste your recharge time when you go back to that shop and have it charged up. These don't have to be super tight. Once it's bottomed out, give it about maybe a little bit less than a quarter turn. I can see on that flange that it is completely seated up against the AC condenser, so that's perfect. Let's go ahead and grab that other line and get that lined up. And work that into place. Do the same thing here, get that nut started, and we'll snug that one down. Okay, those 2 lines are installed. Now back to the lower driver's side portion here, we want to go ahead and focus on our cooler, which is right here. Now on the bottom of the cooler, there's an aluminum tab right here and one over to the side. These need to lock in to the radiator. So let's go ahead and lift that up and feed that in. All right, Now you can see that the tab has dropped in behind on both sides here. Our next step is grab that radiator hose and we want to line that up. Let's get and work that into position. Now that we have our radiator hose fully installed, we're going to take our clip here. We're going to go ahead and get that locked in. All right, our clip is secured. Back up top on the passenger side, let's go ahead and install that vent tube for our radiator. Reach through the headlight hole. Good, line that up. Push it in until you hear it click. Now we can go ahead and install that headlight. Connect the headlamp connector, slide that into place. You can normally feel it and hear it click in. And then take the headlamp assembly, line that up. Set it in. Let's install the 2 mounting tabs in the back. On the upper driver's side portion of a radiator, we have our cooler hose here, as well as the cooler we need to anchor. Now I'm going to go ahead and flex this hose here back. You need to make sure that the upper portion of the cooler sits flush up against the radiator. For any reason, if it's not fitting, double check the cooler. You can probably just grab the cooler and wiggle it around a little bit for that to pop into place, because from below, we're able to get those 2 tabs already into the radiator. I'm going to go ahead and get that screw started in there. Then we'll pop a ratchet on there. And let's go ahead and snug this down. Now we're just tightening this into plastic. So once you bottom out, you're just going to give it a tiny bit more. You just want it to be snug. That's it. Bottomed out. Tiny bit. Now let's go ahead and install that hose. And let's go ahead and install the hose clamp. Okay. Hose installed, cooler installed. Install the fan connector here. I want to make sure you feel it and hear it clip into place. Go ahead and connect your harness here. And then we'll go ahead and start on the left-hand side, anchoring this in place. On the passenger side, let's go ahead and install the upper radiator hose. Once you're confident that that hose is on all the way, go ahead and take your horseshoe clip. I'm going to line that up and get that on. Okay, push that down all the way. Go ahead and give that hose a tug, make sure it's locked into place, and ours is. Upper hose is installed. Install our upper radiator brackets here. I'm going to get this one started, install the other one, and then I'll come back and snug them both down. And when the bottom's out, just give it a little bit more. Just want to make sure that's good and snug, and do the same for the driver's side. Good, bring your bumper cover up and over, tilt it, and we're going to bring the upper portion up onto the radiator support here. As you push this back into place, we can go ahead and wrap it around the fender and go ahead and press in on the side. Good, line this up. Let's go ahead and install the driver's side. Good, pull this up into place. Make sure it fits underneath the headlamp assembly. You want to make sure that the fender lip itself here tucks in around the edge. And then press that in. Now we're going to go ahead and install our plastic buttons here and then our 2 screws. Now if you recall, when we remove these here, you have to press in on the center of the button. To reinstall, you have to flip this over. Push on the bottom, you need the center button to come up through the top. Like so. Insert it into the hole. And then press it flush. Like so. We're going to do that for the rest of those there, and then install our screws. Now we only have 2 of these screws. Simply get that started. We're going to come back and tighten that down later. Let's get the rest of our plastic buttons popped in here. I'm going to run right across the front. Our center button just popped out on that, but not a big deal. Just get that back in there. Get our screw installed over here. And let's go ahead and snug those down. Okay, just snug that down gently and do the same over here. Let's go back on the inside of the passenger side fender and want to reconnect the connector here. So we're going to line that up on the inside. I'm going to push that together. You do want to give that little connector a little tug, make sure that it's locked in. All right, ours is locked in. Let's go ahead and secure our fender liner. You want to go ahead and get our screws installed on our fender liner. We just want to gently snug those down. You do want to make sure that they're fully seated. And just continue this down all the way down to the bottom. Now our fender liner is damaged from an accident that this vehicle was in before, but you get the point. Next, you would come on inboard here and install the one here, but our fender line has been ground away and broken, so we can't install our lower one, but I'm sure you can. Go ahead and take care of that. Once you're done here, go ahead and repeat for the driver's side. Underneath the driver's side here, we want to go ahead and connect our washer hose here. Remember, we had trimmed this back just a tiny bit. Now, if you cut this like we did, you're going to have a fresh piece of hose, and it's not going to want to slide on as easy because the hose isn't stretched out anymore. So a little tip, you can take some spray solvent, put a little bit there, shake it off, and then that hose in general will normally slide on a lot easier. Now you want to push it on, don't wiggle it because you can snap this Y, and then you're just going to have another part to repair. Slide that on, and then you can release, if you have something like this on there, go ahead and release that, pinch that back, and tuck it into place. Let's go ahead and install our lower splash shield. Go ahead and get that lined up. I'm going to go ahead and install one of the screws in the front here by hand, and then we'll put one in the back that'll hold it in place. These two will hold it up while we install the rest. Now there's going to be a total of 8. Go ahead and install all of them around the perimeter, and then we'll snug them down. All right, now that you have them all in, let's go ahead and snug them down. You just want to go ahead and snug these down gently. And just repeat this all the way around. Now on the bottom side here, if your vehicle has a little splash shield or retainers here, go ahead and install that. Ours does not have it, but you want to go ahead and install that now. Go ahead and put in your air filter base. Now as this goes in, there's a rubber grommet on the driver's side back corner here that needs to fit into a little bracket. Grab your air filter and drop that down and in. Install the headlamp mounting bracket. Go ahead and feed your air intake tube down in a position here. I want to get that onto our throttle body down below. Make sure you put your clamp on here. Let's go ahead and position our air filter lid in place here. All right, with that in position, let's go ahead and secure the screws on our lid box here. Now I'm just going to continue to secure the two back ones here. All right, with that secured, let's go ahead and get our intake hose clamp secured. And then just put your clip on there. Let's go ahead and secure the lower clamp. Install the engine cover, bring this into place, line it up with the oil fill cap, and push it down. Reconnect the ground terminal. Make sure it's seated down as far as it'll go. Let's snug down that 10mm nut. Once that bottoms out, just give it a little bit more. I want to make sure it's good and snug. Grab that terminal, give it a twist, make sure it doesn't spin. Take the upper cover. There's going to be 2 side tabs here that need to lock underneath. And make sure that these tabs here go behind these 2 here. At this point, you can go ahead and install your locking tab. Put that little Phillips head plastic screw in there, twist it clockwise to lock it into place. Take your front cover, 2 tabs here, go underneath, and then press it down on the front. Install your cowl seal. Grab a clean funnel, and we're going to add coolant. I'm going to go ahead and fill this up to the full line on the side of the reservoir. After you've done this here, go ahead and install the cap. I'm going to go ahead and start up the vehicle, let it run about 10-15 minutes. Make sure that thermostat opens up. Once it does, you want to come back here, take a look at that reservoir, make sure that that is at the full mark. Never open this up when it's hot, but after the engine cools down, you want to go ahead and top this off to the full line if necessary. Don't forget to have the vehicle professionally charged on that AC system. At that point there, you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.